Greetings, user. Neural link established. Ready for takeoff.
Look at us. There's suits, there's people, there's a recap for this weekend. It's going to be, well, this weekend. It's going to be a recap for last weekend. Okay. But anyway, we're live on Ocean Live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Suity Fruity, where we go over CWC things, all things CWC. I'm here with Nelly and JB Hyperion to talk about last week's matches and this weekend. And we're going to have a good time before our first match today. So how are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
All good.
That's great
so,
to hear.
All the little practice that you got putting into setting that up, starting, and immediately just improvise. We're gonna do it live.
It is
Oh,
live,
yeah.
and we're gonna do it live. Just like the players have to play their matches live. No preparation here beforehand. We just gonna talk about what we've experienced last weekend, what we see in the results and all, and our predictions for the next upcoming few matches, which will be today and tomorrow. Only 2 matches today, and the rest will all be on Sunday. So just so you guys know that. First of all, we're gonna go over the group stage matches from my group A to H, as you would expect us to go over in that order. So that would mean we're gonna get started with the group of Hong Kong, Indonesia, Thailand, and Denmark here. And this group went kind of as expected, I would say, honestly speaking. Haven't really seen all of the matches, but I already had the feeling that Hong Kong and Indonesia would be very dominant in this group and would maybe even have a bit of a clash versus each other, considering the fact that they have some really strong assets on either team. And that's kind of what happened, other than the fact that Hong Kong did kind of beat out Indonesia quite solidly compared to what I expected to be more like a tiebreaker sort of ordeal. No, they actually only conceded 1 point in the entire group. Indonesia losing all 5 to Hong Kong, obviously, losing that match 5-1. And other than that, both teams won the rest of the games against all the other countries without conceding a single point. So Thailand and Denmark definitely being the 2 inferior teams in that group. And yeah, there was a bit of a clash between Thailand and Denmark as well. But honestly, didn't really quite matter for the remainder of the tournament, as they would have made it out of groups anyway, considering Indonesia and Hong Kong were there. So kind of what we expected, I do believe, right?
Yeah, I think very much what we expected. Hong Kong looked really strong. I think across the 6 games that they played, they only missed 5 fruits entirely, or maybe a few more. I'm looking at yeah. So it was 6 in Tian Di Kai P, the hidden one that they lost to Indonesia by only 11,000 points, and then they triple FC'd or SS'd, I think, every other game they played apart from Kigare Naki, which was hidden 3, where AFB missed 1 object. So yeah, really strong performance by them. Although Indonesia came kind of close, Hong Kong looked honestly quite terrifying.
Yeah, from group stages itself, like as you guys mentioned, Indonesia versus Hong Kong, I honestly expected it to be kind of close match, but they did it almost in clean sweep, losing only to 1 map. Was hidden 1, AR 8.41. That's kind of not really expected from Hong Kong, considering like they have a solid roster when it comes to low hidden, but yeah, it's probably unlucky for them with the amount of paradoxes and stuff.
Yeah, I do believe the same to be the case. Indonesia did have better past results than Hong Kong in CWC, but slowly but surely Hong Kong has creeped and actually beaten the power level of Indonesia in that sense. It's truly been proven in this group stage, and there's been some amazing performance there for almost all players on the end of Hong Kong. 2 of them actually being in the top 10 performing players of the tournament so far, and the third one being also Fanboy, being the 19th, so that's all really good. Looking like one of the sharpest teams in the early stages, such as group stage. We're likely going to see really good results again from them in the round of 16. Then again, Indonesia still a contender for at least top 6, I would say. They've been in the past top 3 quite a handful of times. I think 2 to 3 times already. So there's definitely potential in that team, and the team is kind of stable in the sense that most of the players in that roster have remained in that roster too. I would only reckon that Galaxy is one pretty big significant loss for them. All but all, still a really solid team. So I do believe that they'll remain in the tournament for quite a while still, even though they were seeded as high seed. There's some other unexpected teams that were seeded at high seed but definitely outperformed the top seed. We'll get into that in a little bit. So 2 great teams, and we say bon voyage to Thailand and Denmark. Again, they're making it out of group stage. Still very nice to see them. Hopefully we'll see them next year. And that's obviously the case for all the teams that have played in group stage and haven't made it. If you've made it through group stage, you're really good, basically, at this point.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, thumbs up. And that's, I think, the greatest of segues we can get into Group B, where we've had France, Australia, Brazil, and Colombia playing. Bit of a toss-up compared to Group A. I would say that the win-loss ratios are definitely a lot closer there than as they were in Group A, with Brazil actually having a win-loss ratio of 0, meaning they won a map and then lost the map every single time. Not making it out there, as the two teams that did advance were France and Australia, so those were the top and the high-seeded team in that bracket, so as you would expect, basically. France actually looking really good this year too. I never expected them to make this big of a comeback in terms of player skill, especially since most of the old school players in France were never really that motivated to get back into Osaka at all. But we see people like the Tobas playing again. There's new players like Natsuko who are extremely good at the game. They've rapidly gotten into the top 50 ranking. And in that sense, very nice to see France making such a strong comeback again this year as one of the stronger European teams of the entire tournament. Australia actually having a bit of a different roster from what I expected them to have, but still making it to high seed, even though they were one of the lowest in the high seed. I think they were either 14th or 15th seeded, so definitely not like convincingly high seed, but high seed enough to advance to the next round, it seems. Brazil having a bit of a nice game against Australia too. They won 2 points in that game, so with a bit more luck, that could have gone to a tiebreaker game. You never know, but a fairly strong group nonetheless. So it's logical for Brazil to maybe not make it out. Colombia, on the other hand, definitely not like the most significant of players in this tournament, which made them lose all maps, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, having a win-loss ratio of -15. So not really their year, but hopefully they'll get some new players. That will be great. There's been some nice Colombian players in the past, so we're going to have to wait and see how that goes.
It's a little bit
finalist for Group B. I know.
You literally carried us this time. Wow.
Oh, but, no, you can talk. You can talk whenever.
But,
Nelly, we love you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. But yeah, like according to Pick'ems, which is, by the way, you can vote your favorite team on Pick'ems. Just do it now, even though you guys probably missed group stage. They actually voted for 34.2%. In comparison with Australia, it's literally 30%. I would darely say that Brazil and Australia has a really solid rosters with fairly known players. Well, outside France, well, because everyone was voting in Group B. But I would dare to say that Australia this time like remained really consistent and more performed than Brazil. It's probably an unlucky guess for Brazil. I might say that, but yeah.
Yeah, Brazil played really well in that final match against France. There was quite a lot of close games where they held their nerve, and I think it was 3-3 at one point before France rallied back at the end to win that 1-5-3. I think Brazil can feel a little bit unlucky with their performance this year. They performed really well when, I want to say it didn't count, but they performed really well against the strong teams but still lost. But against Australia, I think they would have felt that a 5-2 loss probably didn't reflect how they wanted their group stage to go. So yeah, unfortunate for them to not be qualifying, but well played, as I said, again, to France and Australia.
Would definitely agree with that as well. So that's going to be your teams for the round of 16, France and Australia making it through. As we get into Group C, which was stacked. Group C absolutely being the most stacked of pools that we've had in this tournament so far, with Philippines, Italy, Belgium, Malaysia, where Philippines and Italy made it out of the group stage. Philippines actually beating Italy as well, so that was our first upset in the entire tournament so far. If we go over chronological order as we are doing right now. So Philippines beating out on Italy, having a bit of a exciting game against Belgium too, playing 5-3 versus Belgium. So the Belgians still tried the very hardest to make for an upset somewhere as well. Italy even being a little bit scared there for a second. I would assume if Belgium would beat Philippines, that would have maybe gotten a bit interesting with how the advancement would have gone for all these three of teams, even though I do believe that Italy would have still made it through. But yeah, first time we've seen a top seed get beaten by a high seed there. But I would say that I'm not entirely sure in the pick'ems there. Nelly can probably have a look at that. But I would expect that in terms of how many people voted for Philippines to beat out Italy, the percentage would still be very high. Again, Philippines not really feeling like a team that's supposed to be in the high seed bracket, but rather in the top seed bracket, I would definitely posit. And Italy also being a good top seeded team, but not the strongest of teams in terms of group stage play and perhaps even round of 16 play. We all know Italy to be this powerhouse where we have two behemoths, dormant and always ready to smash other people's faces in terms of Cat's skill. And then there's the other four Phils, even though they don't really feel like Phils anymore this year. There's definitely some improvement in those players compared to what they performed like last year, such as Waffle and Trollengore, for example, doing really well. So kind of what we expected would happen in this group. Every team winning at least a few maps here, with Malaysia, Belgium having a -4 and actually -30 and -4 win-loss ratio respectively, not making it out of that group, but quite exciting nonetheless. But definitely the group of death, because wow. I would, as I posited earlier, definitely the one group where the most dangerous players were definitely dormant, and that definitely showed that weekend as well, I would say.
Yeah, I want to tag on to what you said about Italy missing that kind of crucial third player. Not to say that the rest of the Italian roster is bad by any means, but it really is like the Armour and Karim show, and it has been for a couple of years now, and everyone else is struggling to keep up, and I really hope that they do. But it did show in their match against Philippines that the depth of the roster and the way that Philippines are able to rotate their players in order to put the best people in and not have like a weak link definitely will do them more favors going forward into the later stages of the tournament, where maps become harder, map pools become more technical, and so on. So I think Philippines should be very happy. Even though they lost quite a few games, they were against very tough opponents, and they should feel happy for their performance.
Yeah, Italy itself looked kind of shaky against Philippines. They lost to Philippines with probably like 2-5 in Philippines' favor. So I must say Philippines is right now is like in a better situation, honestly. But yeah, I want to shout out quickly Belgium, because they tried their best against top teams like Italy and Philippines, which they took probably like 2 points against Italy and 3 points even against Philippines. Though they quickly lost to Malaysia, which was already a bad sign. And it's probably like the first games was ever streamed, I guess. Yeah, it's like one of the first games was streamed in group stage. And they already had a really tight situation where they have to beat top teams. So yeah, that's really
Belgium would always have had a difficult time getting out of that group, but they certainly looked one of the strongest low-seeded teams in the tournament. And again, even though they're not going through to the knockouts for the second time, I think they've done very well, and they should be happy with the performance. The hand that they got dealt wasn't great, but they played damn well with that hand.
Yeah, exactly. It's very unfortunate when you get seeded as the 17th team like Belgium has been. That means you're literally the highest seeded team from the low seed. So you're still going to be playing against a high seed and a top seed in that scenario, which is quite unfortunate. And they were fairly close, honestly. They pulled a really nice game against the Philippines. 5-3 is something to write home about. I mean, they even had a better performance against Philippines than Italy, you could literally say. So, well played to them. They made it last year. They sadly didn't make it this year. But we'll be seeing them next year, probably a lot stronger too. And I bet that they're going to go for at least high seed that time round, because they don't want to end up in this situation ever again, I do think. Rightio, I think we can continue to Group D, where we have a lot of American teams from the Americas and Norway. We have Chile, Canada, Mexico, and Norway, where Chile and Canada were able to advance to the round of 16. Again, we had a bit of an upset here with Chile winning over Canada, even though that might sound a little weird to some people that haven't been in touch with Catch for a bit, but because you might remember Chile being this powerhouse team with lots of PP, and most of the time they would be seeded as the top seed, Can't really recall any of the recent years where they haven't been. And this is the first year in like a really long time where they are not the top seed, and Canada is. And wow, both are extremely good performers. They played a tiebreaker match in their groups as well, where Chile won over Canada right at the end on that tiebreaker. Canada has some really good tournament players, I should say. They've definitely also they were able to accumulate quite a lot of PP in recent times too. That's why they are also able to get in top seed in the first place. But in terms of tournament play, they're just really solid players. And honestly, Mexico, even though Mexico is one of the greatest low to high seed teams that we've seen in CWC, this year they weren't really offered the opportunity to get out of the group, considering that to play Chile-Canada. Both of those games they played 5-1, I'm pretty sure. Let me quickly check on that. Yeah, that's seemingly correct. Yep. No, actually, is it? Ooh. Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, great. I was confusing a different match, but now you know. So both games taking 1 point off of the other team, and they were able to sweep Norway quite handily as well. But that's not enough to get yourselves out of groups, obviously. So Chile, Canada, in that order, getting out of groups. Very close between those two teams as well. Norway, on the other hand, only winning 2 maps throughout the entirety of their groups. I'm pretty sure they won a single map. No, actually,
they took 2 points off Canada at the very end of last week.
Yeah, there you go. Statistician here, guys. I mean, I'm not the statistician here. So there's your information.
Well, if you want some more statistics, you were saying about how Chile usually the top seed and Canada the high seed. Yeah, so the last time that Chile were not the top seed in their group was more than 5 years ago, so 2015. And the last time that Mexico didn't qualify for the round of 16 was also in 2015. So it's been 5 years on the bounce where they've got to the knockout stages, and they've usually done pretty well. I mean, in 2019, they came 4th. They almost got that podium place, just losing out to, I think, Chile right at the very end. So you got to feel a little bit unfortunate for Mexico that they've had such a good run. And whilst you said Group C was a group of death, I think Norway were always going to struggle here, but Chile, Canada, and Mexico, it was always hard to choose one team to say goodbye to from those 3, and unfortunately this year it is Mexico.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate. Mexico was being one of the pure underdogs for a few years. As you mentioned, like two years ago, they had a solid roster that's no one really cared about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, they claimed 4th. Back then, I don't think they ever reached that high pedestal. Like, they were obviously so close to top 3. And last year, like, they show really stable results, placing around top 8. But with this year, like, the roster change, like, the roster itself got nerfed. And that's really unfortunate thing, which obviously led a catastrophic failure during the groups. But yes, and as for Canada, they're also a sort of an underdog. I would say that in I believe in previous year they even claimed the top 1 in their own group. So I would definitely say that Canada is definitely really strong as it is in the previous year as well.
Yeah, in 2020, Canada topped a group also with Chile, and Brazil and Saudi Arabia were also in that group. So, again, very similar to this group, 3 very strong teams that were fighting for 2 spots. And Canada has topped that group with Chile in last year, and then this year it's been reversed.
Yeah, exactly. Nice to see this great performance from both Chile and Canada in that group. Mexico trying the best, sadly not quite being able to get on that same level yet. But maybe next year they'll be luckier in terms of how they draw their groups as well. You're right in the sense that it's pretty similar to Group C, where we've had a low seed have a lot of potential to make it into the next round, but just not quite making it there. And Norway definitely struggling quite a lot in this group. So that's we are going to see Chile and Canada this weekend again, playing versus some other teams. we'll get into that later. First, we got to go to Group E. So E, the story was quite clear as to how this one would go, I would say. We had Germany, the United States, with Sweden and Argentina in that pool. And I think everybody pretty much guessed that United States and Germany would be the victors in that round, which was absolutely the case. Germany playing really well against both Argentina and Sweden there. Beating Argentina 5-0 and then beating Sweden 5-1. Remember, Sweden used to be a really good country too. They were able to claim third spot in 2014. I know that's a really long time ago by now. That's 7 years. But they still have some people left from those years
probably
who still play quite well.
Yeah, it's probably Yubeno Kemu, or how's the name? Like, how's the username?
You have Yukiteru Mano.
Mano.
Yeah, which is a legendary player. Used to be a top 10 player back in the day.
Long-standing member.
Yeah, and the rest of the crew has always been there for Sweden as well, I would say. You can go back to previous years' roster and you will always kind of see the same team over there. And because of that, they are still able to play in groups all right, but they have definitely not improved since, I would say, 2014 either. Not really trying their very best to get onto higher levels of catch gameplay, which leads to them not really being able to contest countries like Germany or the United States, where the United States was the high-seeded team, not the top-seeded team, which was a big surprise to all of us. That is mostly due to the fact that Rostov was not able to play in this tournament and didn't want to, as far as I know, either, which is all up to him. That's all cool. But because of this weird inflation of the US, they were still able to beat Germany, considered to be one of the weaker top-seeded team, 5-1. So that's a result that doesn't happen quite too often. Very solid win there for the United States, only conceding a single map there against Germany too. Germany conceding in total 5 maps, 6 maps I should say, 1 to Sweden and another 5 to the US as they lost that game. So very clear victors in this group. I think.
Yeah, so like the key point that you made there was Germany looked super strong in their first 2 games against the Argentina and against Sweden as well. And then the US kind of came along and just blew them away, really. They had no answer. And although, as you said, Germany was the top seed and the US was the high seed, you'd be forgiven for thinking that it was the other way around. US didn't look like they'd lost any of their touch or their skill, even though they were down a seed. Germany didn't look poor by any means, but they didn't have an answer to the power of the US. And as for the rest of the group, Sweden, as you said, they played at their skill level, but they haven't really been able to push on, and a lot of the other teams have kind of overtaken them in terms of skill and consistency and variety. And Argentina have struggled from the same problem that they have done for many years now, which is having 1 or 2 core players. Story looked very good as we expected. Force didn't seem quite at their best, and then their third player is difficult to come by in most cases, and that's really dragging Argentina down, unfortunately.
Yeah, Sweden itself managed to beat Argentina like with sort of a sweat, probably like placing like 3-5 in favor of Sweden. And yeah, as for US, you guys mentioned the roster changes, like Russell not participating anymore, or probably like this year, who knows. But they also have a decent amount of players, I would say that. Like it didn't shackle too much during the group stage. Like despite being
the US team is still very good even without Russell. Russell is just a very kind of key core long-time player that I think they will feel the effect of not having later on in the tournament, but in this early stage they didn't look like they'd missed anything.
Yeah, the roster battle will definitely play around finals or even semifinals, who knows. But
if they make it there, of course.
But yeah, if they'll make it in the first place. But yeah, like high seed beating top seed in Germany, like probably Germany has practically the same roster as previous years. I'm not even entirely sure about that.
I know they're missing Yumara, and I think they've got Inryoku in instead. That might be one of the early changes. I do know that the majority of their roster is the same.
Yeah, and it's always been the same, but they're really good at farming a lot of PP, and in that sense they're amazing players. But tournament play you don't see too often from our German friends. So that may be one of the causes as to why they're not quite on the same level as something like USA, even though that's a really high bar as well. So that might be one of the reasons. And other than that, they might have not practiced enough. There's plenty you can speculate about. But honestly, still a solid team. They made it to the next round anyway. It's not like they are out of the tournament. So we're going to see more from them, and hopefully they'll have a nicer shot at some of the other teams in this tournament. It's just really tough to get yourself USA as a high seed in your group. That's just something, firstly, very unexpected, and secondly, just excruciatingly painful if you're at the top seed, because you're practically playing against one of the other top seeds. So, nothing too surprising there, I would say.
And now it's time for the big pain for
I don't want to talk about this group. I don't want to
talk
about this.
Let's not talk about this, but it still feels pain for you.
Oh, luckily I wasn't playing this year. I'm just a commentator bro this year, so very little for me to warn about. But as a fellow Dutchie, this was painful, but really nice to see as well. Really nice to commentate over. So what I'm talking about is Group F. We have China, Finland, the Netherlands, and Peru playing in that group. With one really clear victor in that group being China, only conceding a single point there to Finland on a double time pick. And then we had Finland and the Netherlands being the 16th seeded team of the tournament. That's the Netherlands, and the 18th seeded team of the tournament being Finland. So, again, quite the close match. It looked really convincing at the start for the Netherlands, leading 4-0 at a certain point in that game. Yeah, you hear that right, 4-0, but they lost 5-4 in the end after Finland had this incredible comeback that I would say I didn't predict, but I did mention the possibility of it happening when the Netherlands was already ahead 4-0. And I'm not somebody to do that too often, right? I'm very realistic in my expectations. So me calling out the possibility of a comeback, you gotta take that seriously. And guess what they did? So they won 5-4 versus the Netherlands on that tiebreaker. It was a really exciting game as the final game of that weekend too. And that means that they're going to be able to play in this round of 16 in place for the Netherlands, which they fully deserve. It was a really good game. Peru, on the other hand, not quite on the same pedestal as these other teams. They did win a single point against both Finland and the Netherlands, but against China, they didn't have the greatest of games. It does say win by default on the stats sheet, but they played a total of 2 maps, I'm pretty sure, versus China before then deciding to concede for whatever reason. We don't really have to get into that further. So, well done by China, as always, being this incredibly strong team. Nobody wants to face in the group stage. And then Finland versus the Netherlands was a great game, and big congrats to Finland for making it out. And unfortunately, Netherlands not making it out of groups 2 years in a row now, which is something we have not really experienced in the past. So that's that.
Yeah, that was really only that. Sorry, go ahead, Nelly.
Yeah, that Finland versus Netherlands match was probably like the most memorable in this group stage. Consider that this was like the actual final match before the Maple Showcase of round of 16. With 4-0, as you guys mentioned, and then a clean sweep 5-4 till the tiebreaker, and then they actually won. It's probably like Netherlands just crumble, I guess, but I don't know what happened to Netherlands when they reached the match point. But in my head, like, honestly, I predicted that Finland would win because they had a sort of better roster, like a better roster compared to Netherlands. I would say that. And for China, well, it's China. On pick'ems, they have like 100% winnability, and the second one was South Korea. So China and South Korea like are the only ones with the 100% pick'ems to get out of the groups.
Yeah. So yeah. Sounds very fair to me too. Yeah, definitely 2 of the strongest teams in this tournament, and probably top contenders for top 2 as well. So it's what it is. But we've come to expect that from these great guys as well. So good job to China for again proving us all right in our trust in you. basically.
Before we just tick along to Group G, I just want to add on a little stat for the stat lovers out there. Finland progressing through to round of 16 as the low seed ensures that I think every CWC since I think 2014, a low or an unseeded team has made it through, like the upset effectively, to make it through to the round of 16. Finland were the only team to do so this year, so thank you Finland for keeping that little statistic alive for another year.
Netherlands always providing in that case. We also lost to low-seeded Russia last year. Nelly remembers that very vividly as well, I do assume. So.
Oh god, let's not.
Hey, you were the victors, Nelly. You were the victors. You should be cheering. You should be happy. Okay.
Well,
okay.
Well, at least we didn't get out last year, so thank you for that.
Yeah, that's great indeed.
I'm sorry, JBH.
You have a very fun tiebreaker against the UK, which I think we won, actually, if I'm recalling correctly.
You guys won, yeah.
Oh, this is actually... now that I've only just realized we have a UK, Russian, and Dutch representative here. If this would have been 2020, the conversation would have been heated. So
we'd all have been in the same group, and we'd all have been throwing flame at each other, wouldn't we?
Exactly.
That would have been exciting.
Oh, God. Thankfully, it wasn't.
Well, this year, luckily, we have not faced off each other at all. We were all in different groups, and we are actually going to get into the UK group now, which is Group G, consisting of South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and the United Kingdom. If we're going to start with the United Kingdom, sadly not the year, being the only... well, actually, there's two teams in total that lost all of their maps, and the UK was one of those two, so not really too convincing of a performance, sadly. They've done better in past years, like last year, for example, too. So that's unfortunate to see. South Korea, obviously, absolutely blasting that group, as pretty much everybody would have expected. Not losing a single map. But then there's Taiwan, Japan, which had a very heated interaction as well.
This one was reached to the tiebreaker, by the way.
Exactly. 5-4 tiebreak, therefore, Japan versus Taiwan, with Taiwan winning in the end over the low-seeded Japan. I was able to commentate that game, and I remember it being so extremely close all throughout the game. So it's very unfortunate to see if Japan go down like this, especially considering that this year's roster for Japan was a little peculiar. Definitely not like a lot of... well, the main reason why I would say it's peculiar is because they didn't have Nora Cat, which we've all come to know to be this hyper carry for Japan. Just being there for every tournament, just being a really consistent player, not per se like the best player in the world, even though they used to be ranked top 20, which, well, you're incredibly good if you're top 20. We all know that. Not having them nor EKR in the roster was a little rough, meaning that they were dropped to the low-seeded bracket. But they almost made it out against Taiwan, a team which I would actually consider to be one of the stronger high-seeded teams too. So that's a really impressive performance for Japan, I would like to say. So very well played by them in that game, making it extremely rough for Taiwan to get out of that group after all. Even though I would expect, most people would have expected that Taiwan would be able to quite handily beat Japan. But quite a rough time, but quite the entertaining match for us viewers as well.
Yeah, Japan made a really good fight against Taiwan. Oddly would say, like, that match was pretty much a conclusion who get out of groups first.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one who will be out immediately. So Taiwan, like, they were really close. And Japan, like, good job there for taking that fight. But I would say that Group G itself is actually the real group of death.
We said this is the third group that's the group of death. So yeah,
Maybe,
everyone you can see has gotten so much better this year. So yeah, unfortunate for Japan. I think 6 of the 9 games they played against Taiwan, the score difference was less than about 50,000 points. So a very close match between those two. And Taiwan also got a little streak of their own to keep alive. I think for the last 3, potentially 4 years, they've had a tiebreaker, at least one in every group stage. And last year they had 2 tiebreakers, I believe. So yeah, they like to keep things a little bit spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like casting like one of those other tiebreakers of Taiwan 2 versus France that year, and that was so incredibly close. That was on your map, JBH. Not entirely sure what the name was, but you made it. You had a tiebreak in CWC in like 2019, I think, or 20.
I think 2018 had the CS5 next to you.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, next
That
to
one.
you.
Also
By uni.
2017.
Yeah, and if
was
any
one
of
of
It was
those 2
you,
years.
2018.
2018.
well, okay, so the streak has been going on for really long with
Yeah,
these tiebreakers.
yeah.
I remember that still because that was one of the most exciting games I've actually casted in my entire OSU career. So, yeah, Taiwan always bringing the heat and always coming up with some very unexpected results. They did make it out of groups again this year, though. So, staying true to the high-seeded term that they were able to assign themselves to. They have really strong players, after all, and in tournaments they are definitely not new to being in stressful situations at all. So, making Japan lose right at the end. Well played by both of those teams, though. That was a very exciting game to cast. So, good job. And that brings us to the final of groups as well. Being
Oh,
Group
this
H.
is me.
That's you. You can actually go ahead if you want to. Go ahead, Dilly. Talk us through your experience of Group H, as you're the only one of us three playing in this tournament as well. So
Yeah, like we managed to get out of groups first place against Poland, which is probably like one of the culminations like in Group H, because both of us like had like everyone won against Singapore and Vietnam, and the only match what mattered is against Poland, which it was fairly close. Like the score like wasn't going that high. Like normal, like there's no like clean sweep or something. It was a really fair game itself. But yeah, Poland, I would say Poland did a really good job for sweeping two remaining teams, Singapore and Vietnam. Like a clean sweep with 5-0. Us, like, we did 5-2 and then we did 5-3. Like, against Vietnam, which was 5-3, I would say that we kind of experimented a little bit, but yeah, like, we won anyway. And there was some kind of a little bit of conflicts happen. Like one of us was Memoriola, which wasn't really interacting with Russians most of the time. He just like interacts everyone in English, so it was a little bit troublesome, like to interact with him in the first place once we revealed the roster. But I'm personally glad that we did really well against Poland and against Group H as well. Like despite not being like in a clean sweep position, I think we did a really good job. Hopefully, we can continue to do that as well.
yeah, well played by you guys indeed. After all,
Thanks.
and yeah, I'm gonna be.
Thank
the
you for the
stats guy
short interview.
I'm gonna be the stats guy for once here. One little interesting stat that I see in this group too is actually Poland did have a better win-loss ratio than you guys, having a win-loss ratio of +9. You guys had a +6 win-loss ratio, but
Yeah, what I
because
said
you
in
guys
the
conceded
beginning-
a few teams, conceded a few points to the other teams, Vietnam,
Yeah,
and
like
Singapore,
clean sweep to Singapore
Yep.
and Vietnam. Yeah.
and you guys were only able to beat Poland 5-3, 5-4. It was a tiebreaker. After
Yeah,
all,
Poland
so-
5-4, Singapore 5-2, and Vietnam 5-3.
Yeah, exactly. So that was well played by you guys. You made all the games interesting, at least. So that's very kind to the viewers. And experimenting in group stage is something you could definitely do.
Yeah, it was really
because-
risky, but we had the opportunities, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. And if you're able to do that, then it's only good to do that, considering you're still playing a top seed team, Poland, which you might be able to beat as well. Which you did. Which you did.
Yeah.
So, good job to you guys. Well played. Well played by Poland too. I would definitely posit that Russia and Poland, in terms of skill level and tournament play especially, are fairly similar. So this could have gone either way, and it did go the entire way to a 5-4 game. Singapore and Vietnam also had some fun games, though, I must admit. Definitely because they both won some points against you as the ones who won the entire bracket. And their own game was also a tiebreaker game, with Singapore winning over Vietnam, which is actually a upset as well, considering that Singapore is the unseeded team and Vietnam is the low-seeded team. Something that he might have expected. I'm not entirely sure on how the Pickham's decided, or the people on Pickham's decided on that, but it was already close in this group too. In that sense,
despite Singapore being really underrated, they have a really solid roster. I would say like very consistent if you compare it to Vietnam.
Singapore should not be underrated. Do not forget that last year they were in a group with Indonesia, with China and Japan, and they beat Indonesia, who I think were the highest high seed. They were seeded 9th last year. Singapore are a team that you underestimate at your own peril, and they proved it again this year. Vietnam, maybe slightly lower caliber of opponent than Indonesia were, but just like we said about Malaysia in that Group C, in future years, if you get Singapore as the unseeded team in your group, you should be worried about that team.
It's kind of the same thing that we have always said about Malaysia being one of those extremely strong unseeded teams. Singapore, pretty much the same deal with them. Strong, maybe the strongest unseeded team. Maybe they're even stronger than Malaysia in that sense. And again, they've proven it this year. Vietnam also wasn't a bad low seed team. And I think most people actually expected Vietnam to perform a little better than Singapore, if I recall correctly. But then again, I don't really have the pick'ems right in front of me to talk you guys through that. But yeah, the most entertaining of groups I would call Group H. Not by a long shot, because all of the groups were extremely fun, but there's been some very fun games. 2 tiebreaker games in the group. I mean, what else do you wish for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly one of the closest of the groups, with I think everyone realistically having a chance of scoring some points off of other teams. And although maybe not qualifying, there's always an opportunity for giant slaying. We did see that there. So yeah, congratulations to your team on getting that top spot, Nelly.
Thank you.
Good.
I must say that the last 2 groups, which is F, G, and H, like, it was kind of really shaky. I must say that. Both featured tiebreaker, and that's all, like, the last 3 groups.
Yeah, fun times, and that kind of goes to show as to why we start calling like multiple groups like groups of death by now, because competition has started to become so good in catch, and every year it's just weird to see some teams in low seed. You're just like, why is this team in low seed? How is Mexico low seed, or Belgium? What is even going on, right? And it started. The competition has always been good in CWC, but every year it starts to get just this little teeny bit better too. So I'm very happy to see that positive development too. And for you viewers, that's also very interesting and fun, especially, I posit. That brings us to round of 16, because we finished the group stage last weekend, as I already mentioned at the start of the stream. Just went over all those things if you were only just able to tune in. And now we're going to go over our own predictions for the round of 16. We have quite a handful of matches late. We have quite a handful of matches here for you guys. 8 of them, 2 of them being played in about 14 minutes from now, so we're going to hurry up a little bit through this segment, and then another 6 tomorrow. So firstly, today we're going to have, at the same time, coincidentally, at 1 p.m. UTC, Australia versus South Korea, and China versus Italy. And not entirely sure if you guys want to go ahead with the predictions. If we're just going to do score predictions for, we'll just get started with Australia, South Korea. Probably gonna be not the closest of games. Let's just call it that.
6-0.
South Korea. I'll have to go and agree with Nelly. I believe 6-0 is the most likely score to Korea.
I would say, like, a little bit credit. Like, round of 16, like, for Australia is not really that hard, I would assume. So it might take few points. I said few, but who knows? Hell, like Hyper W7 expected really hard map pools, so he's a little bit lucky that it's round of 16 only.
That's correct. So maybe Australia can take a point, maybe even 2. Stuff like that happens, even against teams like South Korea sometimes. Yeah. Australia has a lucky run, and simultaneously South Korea has an unlucky run on a map, and that will then result in a positive result for Australia, obviously. But realistically speaking, in terms of skill level, South Korea winning 6-0 against Australia would not surprise me at all, basically. How's JVH thinking of that, actually?
I think I have to agree with you. I think Hidden is a pick where Australia have historically looked very strong, and I think that they should be able to contest maps of this difficulty and keep it close. So there is a chance, as you said, if one or more members on the South Korean roster has a little bit of an off game or something goes wrong, then Australia could pick up a point. But it is South Korea's game to lose, as most matches up until kind of like the finals week will be. But I just want to add on to that this match coming up in, as you said, in 12 minutes now, Australia versus South Korea, is going to be streamed, and it's going to be, Nelly, your first ever game as a CWC commentator. So everyone give Nelly some props and cheers. Wish him luck in his first match, because that was
I would toot right now, but I have my toot with me, so that's unfortunate. But I'm very happy to have you here, Nelly. And actually, I think we kind of need to hurry with these other predictions, because we only have 11 minutes left, and I kind of want to get out of the suit after this too, because it's really warm. So China versus Italy is going to happen at the same time. Two top-seeded teams playing against each other, and actually two teams that were considered to be potential podium candidates this year too. Meeting on very early here, China versus Italy. If I had to predict, I would say China will likely take it, because I do believe that they are consistently have been stronger actually than Italy in the early stages of tournaments. I think they're going to be exactly that this year, so I'm predicting something like a 6-2 scoreline for China there.
That's actually my it's actually my own score, like placement 6-2. Maybe Italy can pull a fight, who knows? But yeah, China, like compared to Italy, like they're super strong.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Italy's great too, but it's just China early on. That's a different story.
Yeah, but those two rosters are still solid enough. Like they can they can show off a really good fight, but my prediction still hasn't changed so much. So 6-2 for me.
I don't think you're going to get through score predictions for all of these teams in time, so I'll just say the problem for Italy is that their strengths are China's strengths, and China are just a bit better at all the things that Italy are good at. Italy are a good double time team, China are a really good double time team. Italy are a good hard rock team, China are a really good hard rock team. So they're going to struggle here, unfortunately. Yeah.
So what kind of scoreline would you predict then, JBH?
I just said we're not going to get through scoreline predictions.
Well, you have to!
You have to. You have no choice.
If you insist, then 6-1.
I insist you do. Okay. Then Finland, Philippines is going to be played tomorrow at 10 UTC. I think that the scoreline prediction is actually a significant factor to these kind of recaps, so I'm doing it anyway, JBH. So I would say that Philippines is likely going to win against Finland. Probably a fairly strong result, seeing how they performed in the group stage. And I would say that, again, a 6-2 scoreline seems very sensible to me, in favor of Philippines. What about you guys?
Match 7 is completely matched with Australia versus South Korea, so most likely 6-0. But I did 6-1. I don't know why. Don't ask why. I predicted 1 point for Finland as well, but yeah.
Finland are riding on high, getting out of that difficult group, and Philippines, they were tested a little bit by Italy, but I think that it's going to get a lot harder, and the opposition is obviously going to get a lot harder as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Finland take a point or two.
Alright, so coming up next is France versus Taiwan. They've actually faced off, that is coincidentally actually that match I was talking about in 2018, where France and Taiwan to play the tiebreak as well. I think the situation is a bit different now. France is really strong, Taiwan should be really strong as well. They, I think, to my experience, kind of underperformed the group stage. I think they can do better this year. I should say, this round. So I would say that France is going to take it 6-3. Still providing Taiwan a bit of leeway for how well they should perform here, but I think France is very likely to be the winner.
According to Pickham's, this match itself is like the most closest one. Whoever win. Like with 66% and 33 win probability. But I would root for 6-2 for France. But if Taiwan would win, like magically speaking, then I would be surprised there.
Yeah, in previous years, I would have said this would have been a very close and a very exciting match. And I still think it is going to be close. But Taiwan didn't quite look as strong as they have done in previous years in this group stage. And France looked about as strong as you would expect them to do. So Taiwan have some catching up to do to kind of beat France in that one. I think France are going to be victorious though.
Okay, coming up next we have Hong Kong versus Poland. So in this case, I would strongly think that Hong Kong is going to be able to take on Poland quite handily here. Very strong team in early stages. Poland is, again, a super strong team. Was the top seeded team of the group stage, being beaten out by Russia. But I believe that in this stage, they won't be quite on the same level. I think they're going to be able to bring up a bit of opposition, though. So I'm going to say 6-3 for Hong Kong.
Yeah, what they show Hong Kong against Indonesia, almost clean sweeping and losing only one map. For Poland, it's going to be a really rough time. I would assume that. So my prediction is probably 6-2, probably 6-1. I don't know.
Poland looked really strong in their first 2 matches and then kind of came undone against Russia. Hong Kong looked really strong in all of their matches. Like, there were very few kind of weaknesses in the armor there. They look stronger than ever. They look more consistent than ever. Hong Kong should definitely be considered favorites here, even though Poland are a strong top-seeded team. Hong Kong have all the momentum in the world.
Alrighty, next up, Indonesia versus the Russian Federation. I'm going to apologize to you, Nilly, but I believe Russia to be a good team. I believe you guys are really strong. Indonesia is also extremely strong, though. I'm not entirely sure if they're going to improve their performance compared to what they did in group stage, because I do believe that they could have taken more points off of Hong Kong. If they don't, you guys might have a very good shot at it. If they do, I believe Indonesia to be the stronger team here and winning out 6-2.
6-2. I did 6-5. I probably think this is going to be the closest match. Don't judge me, but actually, according to Pickham's, like, it's again one of the closest matches to win for 62% and 37. It's really scary.
Yeah, this is one of the matches that I'm looking forward to the most, because I think that the 2 teams are very evenly matched. They both had similar kind of trajectories through groups where there were a few kind of nervous moments where they maybe tried something a bit different, but then they also ended on a really strong high. And I just think that both sets of players have very clear strengths they can use to target the opposition, so it's going to be a real kind of tug of battle where a team wins and then they counter back, and I think a break point in that match is going to be very crucial to determine who comes out the victor.
Yeah, again, if Indonesia doesn't really improve their performance, that might be very close, and then I would agree with the 6-5 predictions, but I'll digress for now and just
5 minutes, 2 matches to go, let's go.
Okay. Speedrun, let's go.
Next up we have...
Okay,
we have Germany versus Chile. Next up, I think this one is definitely going to go in favor of Chile here. I believe that Chile is definitely providing the stronger roster for this year, and I think that Germany's performance in the group stage wasn't quite the best, and I'm not entirely sure how much they will improve. I'm going to say a 6-2 scoreline actually for Chile. A lot of 6-2s here.
Mine's Chile 6-1.
I think this match is going to have a very similar summary to what I described for Poland and Hong Kong. Germany looked really strong, but then they kind of came undone against the US. Chile have looked very strong all the way throughout the groups so far. They had a little bit of a kind of battle with Canada, obviously, but they came out victorious, and I think this is Chile's.
Alright, and then for the final match of this week, we're going to have the United States versus Canada, neighboring countries battling each other here. Nice to see. Again, United States is really strong, but Canada has some incredibly good tournament players as well. But for some reason, it always seems like the USA can pull out the trump card exactly where you don't predict them to do it, and they have been consistently, like, surprisingly strong in the early stages of tournaments too. In the last 3 years, I would say. So, honestly, if Canada can't find their footing early on in the match, this might be like a 6-1 score for the United States. If Canada is able to get an early point, it might become 6-3 or so, 6-4. But I'm going to say 6-1 because I believe the United States is going to be well prepared for this game.
Yeah, to be match 3 is similar to France versus Taiwan or even Indonesia against Russia. So for me, it's 6-3 for United States. But if, again, Canada wins, I won't be surprised as well.
I think both teams had a very similar, challenging group. Maybe Canada had a slightly more difficult group. But Canada lost 8 games in their group, and the US only lost 1. So I think based on group stage performance, the US have started off much more strongly in the tournament, and they should be considered favourites again.
Alrighty. Okay, thanks guys. I think that's gonna do it for the recaps. We don't really have any more time because we're gonna get into the next match. The first match of this week, and that's being streamed in 2 minutes, literally, being Australia versus South Korea. At the same time, we're gonna have China versus Italy play in the background, and we're gonna keep you up to date for that. So thank you guys for joining Suity Fruity today. I'm very glad that we're back doing this. It's always good fun with you guys, and I'm very hopeful that you guys also enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, definitely do follow the channel because there's going to be great matches this weekend. If you haven't already followed the channel, you can also click the bell icon if you want to get notifications, and that's all cool and stuff. You can also subscribe to the channel if you feel like doing so, and if you're feeling generous. Again, Vector Kita doing a few subs at the start of the stream. Big thank you for that. And there's banners now, so go to the website, get yourself a banner for the team you want to win. You can buy
banners are available.
16 teams. 16 teams. There's so much to choose from. You should go and check those out as well. And those fundings will also go into the tournament, and we are very thankful if you do that. I'm gonna get redressed real quick. Nelly and I are gonna tackle the next match. Thank you so much, JBH and Nelly, for joining me in the Suity Fruity. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Have fun with the match upcoming, guys. Hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you all later. Hope the weekend goes well.
Yeah, I'll see you guys in 5 mince. I think so.
One!
Oh, one! I'm sorry. One minute.
Go!
Oh, no. Force me, please. Move me to the other room.